"Doctor, is it too late for me?" That was the question George, a 76-year-old retired firefighter from Arizona, asked me as he sat across the room, staring at the floor, not out of pain, but out of shame. He wasn't there because of heart problems or arthritis or blood pressure like most men his age. He was there because he hadn't touched his wife in over 4 years. Not because he didn't love her, not because she had pushed him away, but because his body had stopped responding, and he thought that meant it was all over. "I still want to be close to her," he told me, "but every time I try, I just feel broken, like I'm no longer a man." And here's the heartbreaking part. George thought he was alone. He thought this was just what happens after 60. That no one talks about it, because there's nothing you can do. But he was wrong. Because what George, and so many men like him, never hear, is that the most ignored, misunderstood, and even shamed action a man can take might actually be the most powerful way to reclaim his confidence, preserve his health, and reconnect with the woman he loves. And it doesn't require a prescription. It doesn't require pills or surgery or expensive treatments. Just one simple act that you can do in the privacy of your own home. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what really happens when you masturbate after 60. Why it's not only safe but essential to your physical and emotional well-being. If you've ever felt like George, if you've ever wondered whether your best days are behind you, then stay with me. Because what you're about to learn might just change the way you see yourself and your future. George had always been the strong one. He spent most of his life running into burning buildings, saving lives, lifting bodies, breaking through walls. But nothing prepared him for the silence that grew in his own bedroom. It started slowly, fewer touches, more distance, a quiet understanding that something had changed. By 73, George hadn't been intimate with his wife, Ellen, in over 2 years. She never said anything, he told me, but I could feel it, the disappointment, the loneliness, the questions she was too kind to ask. What hurt the most wasn't just the physical disconnection, it was the feeling that he was slowly disappearing, as a man, as a partner, as a husband. He stopped initiating, stopped trying, told himself it was just part of aging. But inside, the shame grew louder. One morning, George caught his reflection in the mirror. He looked hollow. Not just older, but smaller. Not just tired, but dimmer. That's when he came to me, not asking for pills, not asking for surgery, but simply asking, is there still something I can do, or is this just the end of that part of my life? It was one of the most honest questions I'd ever heard. George didn't want to be young again. He didn't want to be a stud or chase some fantasy of performance. He just wanted to feel like a man again, to reach out and not be afraid, to hold his wife without the weight of shame pressing down on his chest. That's when I told him something that surprised him, and may surprise you too. George, it's not over. In fact, one of the most powerful ways to reignite your vitality is something no one's ever talked to you about. And that's where his journey began. Not with a prescription, not with a procedure, but with a single private decision to reconnect with his body in a way he'd been taught to avoid his whole life. Little did he know, that choice would change everything. What happened next in George's journey wasn't magic, it wasn't a miracle, it was science. Plain, simple, and stunningly under-discussed. And what I told him that day is exactly what I'm going to share with you now. 5 powerful biological changes that take place when a man over 60 begins to engage in regular, healthy sexual stimulation. Even solo. 1. Improved blood flow. keeping the engine alive. The first thing that changes? Circulation. As we age, blood vessels stiffen, arteries narrow. The small capillaries that feed the pelvic area, especially the penis, are among the first to suffer. Without blood, there is no oxygen. Without oxygen, tissues begin to shrink, dry, atrophy. Doctor, is that why I feel like I'm disappearing? Yes. It's not in your head. It's in your veins. But every time you become aroused, even by yourself, your body sends a surge of blood through the pelvic region. That rush brings oxygen, nutrients, and life into the erectile chambers, the corpus cavernosum. It's like watering a garden. Without it, things wither. With it, even a little, life returns. And no, it's never too late. I've seen men in their late 70s restore warmth, sensitivity, and vitality in places they thought were long gone, just by stimulating blood flow through regular sexual activity. 2. Ejaculation flushes the system, preventing pain and infection. Have you ever felt a dull ache in your testicles? A strange pressure in your lower belly? Not quite pain, but something unsettling. That's your body trying to talk to you. As men age, the glands that produce semen, the prostate, seminal vesicles, and others, can become sluggish. Fluid builds up, stagnates. And like any system that stores fluid, if it doesn't move, it rots. Imagine leaving water sitting in pipes for months. What do you expect? Mold, pressure, breakdown. Regular ejaculation is your body's version of flushing the pipes. It clears out old seminal fluid, reduces inflammation, and prevents blockages. Some of my patients have gone from months of discomfort to complete relief just by ejaculating 2-3 times a week. No medications, no doctor visits. Just a private, natural reset of the male reproductive system. 3. Hormonal harmony. Resetting your mind and mood. George once told me, "I don't even care about sex anymore. I just want to feel like myself again." That feeling of being off, flat, disconnected, is often not psychological. It's hormonal. When you climax, your brain releases a powerful cocktail. Testosterone restores confidence and drive. Dopamine boosts motivation and focus. Oxytocin calms the nervous system, creates a sense of safety. Endorphins, the body's natural painkillers and mood stabilizers. These chemicals don't just make you feel good in the moment. They regulate everything from sleep to memory to resilience. For older men battling fatigue, irritability, or even mild depression, this internal hormonal reset can be the most powerful antidepressant they never knew they had. And it all starts with one small, private act. 4. Pelvic floor activation. Rebuilding strength and control. Let's talk about muscles, the ones you don't see but definitely feel. Your pelvic floor is a group of muscles that support your bladder, bowels, and yes, your sexual function. When you reach climax, those muscles contract in a rhythmic pattern, but if you haven't used them in years, they weaken, and weakened pelvic floor muscles can lead to softer erections, less ejaculatory control, urinary. But here's the exciting part: you can train them. Masturbation is not just stimulation, it's exercise. Each time you engage sexually, you're activating those deep internal muscles, restoring the mind-muscle connection, and building tone. Men who combine this with simple pelvic floor exercises, like Kegels, often report firmer erections, longer duration, better bladder control, renewed confidence. You're not chasing youth, you're reclaiming strength that's still inside you. 5. Protection against ED, and cognitive decline. Let's bring it full circle. What if I told you that regular ejaculation could protect your brain? Yes, your brain. Every time you climax, your body releases nitric oxide, a compound that helps blood vessels stay flexible and responsive. This doesn't just help with erections, it supports heart health and cerebral circulation, but that's not all. Studies have shown that regular sexual activity reduces inflammatory markers, the very same markers linked to cognitive decline, including memory loss and even dementia. And sexually active older adults often report better memory recall, sharper focus, reduced anxiety, deeper, more restful sleep. You see, this isn't just about what happens down there. It's about keeping your entire system engaged, alive, and functioning. George didn't believe it either, until he noticed something odd. After just a few weeks, I started remembering where I left my keys again, he laughed. And Ellen told me I started looking at her the way I used to. That's the power of biology working with you, not against you. It didn't happen overnight. There was no lightning bolt, no sudden miracle. But over the next few weeks, something began to shift inside George. He followed the routine, gently exploring himself a few times a week, practicing those pelvic floor exercises each morning, breathing deeply, giving himself permission to feel again. At first, it was just a physical change. He felt warmer, less tense. The dull ache in his lower belly faded. His body started responding, even if only slightly. But then came something he didn't expect. A flicker of hope, a soft return of confidence. One evening, as he stood by the kitchen sink drying dishes, he looked over at Ellen and said softly, "Hey, I was thinking, maybe tonight we could just lie together. No expectations, just us." She paused, then smiled. "I've been waiting for you to say that for a long time." That night, they didn't make love. Not in the way you'd expect. But he held her, and for the first time in years, he didn't feel ashamed. He didn't feel broken, he felt present. He felt like himself, and in that quiet moment, something returned. Not youth, but connection. "I didn't need to perform," George told me later. "I just needed to show up. And for the first time in a long time, I actually could." This wasn't about sex, this was about presence, about being in his own body again, without judgment, without fear. From that night forward, George didn't just continue his routine, he embraced it, because it wasn't about technique anymore. It was about dignity, choice, healing, and the man who once asked me, "Is it too late for me?" now stood tall, not because he conquered age, but because he reclaimed himself within it. So now you might be wondering, okay, I understand the science, I've seen what it did for George, but what do I actually do? Right now, you don't need equipment. You don't need routines that feel awkward or forced, and you don't need to perform for anyone, not even yourself. What you need is permission. Permission to reconnect with your body, to take small, gentle steps, to treat yourself not with shame, but with curiosity and care. Here's where to start. Step 1. A morning mind-body check-in, 2 minutes. Each morning while brushing your teeth or standing by your bed, take 3 slow, deep breaths. Place one hand over your heart, the other on your lower abdomen. Ask yourself, how does my body feel today? This grounds you. It awakens your awareness. Step 2. Pelvic floor activation. 1 minute. These are the same muscles you'd use to stop urinating midstream. Try this. Gently contract those muscles for 3 seconds, then relax. Do this 5 times, once or twice daily. It may feel subtle at first, but you're rebuilding your foundation. Step 3. Private reconnection. 2-3x per week. Set aside quiet, undisturbed time. No pressure, no goals. Just explore, touch, breathe. Let arousal come naturally. If it doesn't, that's okay too. This isn't about climax. It's about aliveness. About remembering you still have this part of yourself. Think of it as a conversation, not a performance. The more you listen to your body without judgment, the more it will begin to speak back. Not with fireworks, but with warmth, with presence, with peace. If you've made it this far, it tells me something about you. You're not ready to give up. You haven't surrendered to silence. You're still showing up for your body, your heart, your future. And I want you to hear this, not from a doctor, but from one man to another. You are not broken, you are not behind, you are not too old. What you're feeling, the fear, the distance, the quiet ache you don't talk about, it's not weakness. It's a sign that you still care, that something inside you still wants to connect, to heal, to matter. And I promise you, that matters more than you know. This journey isn't about going back in time. It's about stepping forward, with strength, with truth, with dignity. When George looked in the mirror again after 3 months, he didn't see a younger man. He saw a man who had come back to life. And so can you. So if this message touched something in you, leave a 1 in the comments below. Not for me, for yourself. A silent promise that you're still in this story. And if you want to keep walking this path with me, in the next episode we'll explore a 3-minute breathing technique that calms anxiety before intimacy and helps you reconnect emotionally with your partner. Because this isn't just about sex, it's about you, alive, connected, present. And that is the most powerful intimacy of all. Before, George was quietly fading, disconnected from his wife, ashamed of his body, convinced that intimacy was behind him. He avoided touch, avoided mirrors, avoided hope. But after learning the truth and daring to reconnect with himself, everything began to shift. He didn't just regain function, he reclaimed presence, warmth, confidence. He didn't need to perform to feel like a man, he just needed to return to himself. Now George doesn't live in fear of aging, he lives with purpose, still loving, still growing, still holding the hand of the woman he almost lost to silence. If you know a man who needs to hear this, send this to him. You might just change his life.